Justin Wilcox is out at Cal, and it's time to take a look at who is going to replace him. And whoever does is walking into a tough challenge. Cal is not an easy place to win at, and not just because of the conference difficulties. The fact that they're traveling a bunch obviously plays a role in the struggles of this team, but it's not the whole story. Cal has struggled with a number of things before they went to the ACC. It's just the ACC added the travel element to it. Now, yes, teams do have to travel a far way to play Cal for the most part, but Cal also has to do that for most of their road games too. So you're going to have a tough challenge for whoever takes over this job. This is a naturally difficult job just because of that. But also Cal has had plenty of issues in terms of winning football games in the past. This is not an ACC issue for them. This is just a Cal issue. So the fact that Justin Wilcox is 5th in wins overall tells you exactly what you need to know about winning here. Now, you do have certain guys that have had success below him. You've also seen guys have success above him. But when you coach 9 years and you only have 48 wins, that tells you that to win consistently is not something that's super common. In fact, there have only been 6 guys that have coached 8 years or more, and it has not gone well. And all of those guys are the top 6 in terms of wins. So winning is going to be a difficult task for anybody that's there. The fact that he's 48 and 55 shows you that there were not a ton of successful things for him in terms of winning at Cal. So whoever takes over this job understands or should understand that this could be a challenging situation to overcome. Plenty of good options, plenty of exciting names that you could potentially get, but you're also walking into a little bit of a tougher challenge. Jeff Tedford did the best job, obviously, 82 and 57 in his 11 years, and everybody's going to point to that. And yes, that is exciting. But when you look at who's had the most success, you haven't seen it really since Tedford. And even before that, when you look at the guys have had success, Andy Smith went 74 and 16, Patty Waldorf 67 and 32, Stub Allison 58 and 42. Waldorf was the most recent coach in 1956. So it's been a while since they've had that level of success. Tedford, obviously, in 2012 was his last year. That's the most success you've had recently. But between 1956 and now, there hasn't been a ton of successful seasons besides Tedford's. So it's going to be a challenge. It is going to be difficult no matter who takes over, and the right coach has to understand those challenges. Now, we'll take a look at who's going to take over this team. Jim Mora is a good example of someone who can take over a difficult situation and can turn it into a winner. Now, he has the NFL connections as well, and one of the biggest things that he's going to have to do is keep certain players around, specifically the quarterback. Jaron Sagabatelli is going to be one of the biggest targets for anybody that is going to look at Cal's roster. And Jim Mora would have to understand that he needs to bring him back. Or maybe he's okay with him walking. I highly doubt that, but that is one of the biggest names. You have to find a way to get him to come back. He could enter the transfer portal. He did say that he's sticking around for Cal, but that was before they fired Justin Wilcox. So someone is going to have to convince him to stay. Jim Mora has the connections that could make Cal an attractive program to stick around for. So we'll see what happens there. Mora clearly knows what he's doing at UConn, and he's going to get an opportunity somewhere else. Sticking on the West Coast, Sean Lewis could be a great fit for Cal. Sean Lewis is going to get a head coaching opportunity somewhere, plain and simple. He's going to get a job as a head coach, probably at the Power 4 level, sooner rather than later. What he's done at San Diego State this year is impressive, and we kind of saw that coming. You also look at what he did at Kent State. If you can win at Kent State, I'm convinced you can win anywhere, plain and simple. And Sean Lewis has done that. He brought Kent State to arguably the best stretch that they've ever had, and now he's doing similar things at San Diego State. He understands the West Coast a little bit more for his 2 seasons with the Aztecs, and I think that he'd be really fun to watch with this Cal program. Tim Plow is another guy to keep an eye on. UC Davis head coach has created some very exciting teams, some very exciting offenses as well. So we talked about keeping your star players. That's a guy who could potentially be attractive, understands the challenges of winning on the West Coast, and it would be a very fun coach to watch somewhere besides UC Davis. So that's another name to keep an eye on. A big name that I think a lot of people are just going to naturally pick is Tosh Lupoy. Oregon's defensive coordinator has done a great job with the Ducks defense the last couple years, and the former Cal star is going to be an attractive candidate for a lot of people. The fan base is going to love that hire. The fan base is going to get excited about him potentially coming back, and he is in line to take a head coaching opportunity. Now, whether or not Cal thinks he's ready is the big question. Ryan Grubb is another name to keep an eye on. The Alabama offensive coordinator has done a great job of creating Ty Simpson into a Heisman Trophy candidate. He's done a great job of elevating offenses everywhere he's pretty much been, and he's done a great job with Kalen DeBoer. He's a name that people keep mentioning with this job, and maybe that's an opportunity he's willing to take. Jason Eck at New Mexico. I think if there's a guy who understands how to win in difficult situations, it's Jason Eck. What he did at Idaho, what he did is done and doing at New Mexico deserves a lot of credit. And those are two tough jobs. He took over an Idaho team that wasn't looking great, turned them into a playoff contender. He took over a New Mexico program that was depleted because Bronco Mendenhall brought them up to a level and then brought a lot of talent with him. And he's found ways to compete for a Mountain West championship. So New Mexico is in a great place because of him. And he understands the challenges in certain places, and he understands how to elevate those programs. He would be a great fit for Cal as well. Now, if you're looking for guys on the staff already, Brian Harsin is someone with head coaching experience and someone who's going to get an opportunity. Obviously, people, if you're arguing against him, it's because you're looking at his time at Auburn and saying, well, that didn't work out. Things have changed since he's been at Auburn. NIL wasn't a thing. The transfer portal wasn't used as heavily. And I think that he's going to get an opportunity. And what he's done so far with this offense would put him in that conversation. I think that he would deserve an opportunity somewhere, and Cal will definitely give him an opportunity to interview for that as well. Same thing with Nick Rolovich. Nick Rolovich is the interim head coach right now. He has head coaching experience from his time at Hawaii and Washington State, and I think that he's going to get an opportunity to show what he can do. It's only 2 games. He gets the last game of the regular season and the bowl game. We'll see what happens there. It's not enough, I think, to make a strong decision, but I think how he interviews and what he says in those interviews could potentially give him a great opportunity. You also look at a guy like Brent Vigen, who's at Montana State, another tough place to win. He has done a great job of creating this strong program in a state that is tough to recruit. You have to bring in the guys that want to be there. And Montana State is not always going to be an easy job to win at. You have to find the right players that are willing to do what it takes to win. And he's built a great program in the Bobcats. They've made a good run. They're in the FCS playoffs once again, and I think that they're going to be a really interesting team to watch as long as he's running the show. That's someone that Cal could potentially bring in. Now, the final guy that we'll talk about is a name that I think would drive the excitement and the interest surrounding the program through the roof. Deshaun Jackson has done a great job at Delaware State. I think that he deserves some recognition for what he's done, and even though he's inexperienced, his ties to Cal as a former star player would get people excited. Now, if you're asking me who would bring more excitement between Tosh Lupoy and Deshaun Jackson, I would personally say Deshaun Jackson. What he did at Cal and now the fact that he's having success at Delaware State shows you that, hey, this could potentially be a good fit. Now, it's going to come down to whether Cal is willing to take that chance or not. That's going to be the biggest question for them. But Deshaun Jackson has the NFL ties, has the former electric playmaking ability that he can teach to his other players, and has the connections that Cal is potentially looking for. This is going to come down to risk versus reward. Are they looking for someone who's a little bit more proven? Are they looking for a guy who's maybe at the lower level looking to take a step up? There are a lot of options for Cal. It may be a tough place to win, but they do have plenty of candidates that could take over and get this program to where it needs to be.